Some power. It's the right talk.
Charlie?
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
I could have swore it was spring. I promise you. I thought it was spring, and then this morning, I guess, winter decided to rear its ugly little head one more time. And it's cold, dreary, windy, rainy day today. But welcome to the program. Glad to have you along with us because we got, again, as usual, somebody said today, I said, you never can run out of things to talk about, can you? And no, not these days. We can't run out of anything to talk about. There's so much out there. Tucker Carlson, and again, we don't know if he was fired at Fox News. We don't know if he quit Fox News. We really have very little information about this. But he's no longer on Fox News. And we know the people at The View are happy about it. We know that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is happy about it. We know that Keith Olbermann is happy about it. We know that all of these people on the leftist media, they are so happy that Tucker's no longer there. Well, Fox News has got to be concerned because last night, apparently, they lost right off the bat 1.3 million listeners in that time slot. But where you might not expect it, maybe you would, I don't know, officials at the Pentagon are cheering the departure of Tucker Carlson. That's right. We're a better country without him bagging on our military every night in front of hundreds of thousands of people. No, millions of people. That was one senior Department of Defense official on conditions of anonymity. Good riddance, a second official said. When asked by the outlet to respond to Pentagon's officials' cheers over his departure, Carlson told Politico by text message, "Ha, I'm sure." The first Department of Defense official that said that Carlson made a mockery of the free press and repeatedly cherry-picked department policies and used them to destroy the Department of Defense as an institution. Carlson frequently took aim at the military leadership on his show, including the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Mark Milley. Carlson called for his firing after a direct order from Milley read, "If Donald Trump refuses to leave office, the United States military must remove him by force, and you must give that order." Carlson slammed Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin for his 2021 comment that white people are part of the problem. So let me ask you something. Shouldn't these comments be slammed? Shouldn't these comments be slammed by everybody in the media? Of course they should. Absolutely. But the weird thing about that Politico story is just how many people were there speaking on conditions of anonymity. That's right. Oh, we don't know who these people are. We don't know. Nobody's got any idea who these people are. These folks that are just coming out in the military and they're saying all of this stuff. Why? I mean, why not? Why won't they let their names? I mean, if they're so proud of their statements to make them off the record, why don't you let everybody know exactly who you are? But there they are, making these comments. I mean, really? Military? You guys are supposed to be brave, but apparently not. You're hiding on the condition of anonymity. You're hiding from this. Politico has granted anonymity to these people. Anonymous senior Pentagon officials trashed Tucker Carlson beneath a blanket of anonymity Politico freely granted yesterday to discuss a politically sensitive topic. We're better off without him bagging on our military, and you heard all the comments there. But Politico more than willing to go along with this completely. So that's where we are as a nation. So you've got military leaders making comments like this to an organization. Yeah, I'll bet they're glad that he's gone. I'll bet they are. But what happens when you remove the people that are holding people accountable? What happens when you deplatform people that are holding people accountable? Who holds them accountable? Who is there asking the questions? Now, what Tucker Carlson was doing, what should have been the job of the mainstream media. But no, they did not. They did not. Because they're all in it together. So, hey, Charlie, this isn't winter, but it sure does feel like it. It sure does. Hey, Charlie, I turned Fox off. Let's see. Yeah, I don't blame you. A lot of people are turning Fox off. They really are. Last night, immediately, 1.3 million people were off the counter there at Fox News during that time slot. Charlie, do they really think Tucker is gone? I think once he lands wherever it might be, he will have more viewers than any than he did at Fox. Here's what I have heard. That One America News has actually made an offer to Tucker Carlson to the tune of about $25 million a year. Now, he was making between 15 and 20 million at Fox. And a lot of that has to do with bonus and things like that. But let's say Tucker was making 20 million at Fox. He could go over to One America News, start raking in 25 million, although he really doesn't need it. I mean, the guy's worth $70 million or 307, I can't remember. Well over $300 million on his own. So, and I love this comment. Charlie, leftist boos mean nothing because we know what they cheer for. And you're exactly right. So Tucker Carlson was up there, and a lot of other people, myself included, saying, you know what? Maybe this isn't the best time for us to be trying to actively go to war with other countries. Maybe this isn't the time. Maybe this isn't the time for us to get involved in the Ukraine debacle. Maybe this isn't the time to sit back and start doing things like that. But now, this is the direction. This is exactly where this administration wants to send us to. And this is where the military, General Milley, Lloyd Austin, all of these other people want to go to. They want to rush headlong into war. Why? Because that's what they do. That's what the military-industrial complex wants them to do. Because they're the only ones making money off of this. We're going broke. The military-industrial complex making money hand over fist. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
The Charlie James Show.
On News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
I don't know if you guys know this, but South Carolina could have been Hollywood. That's it. Yes, you heard me right. South Carolina could have been Hollywood, except for a fire. It was New Year's Eve, 1916. There was a fire at a hotel in North Augusta. And this was a magnificent hotel, the Hampton Terrace. Let's see. It's called the Hampton Blaze. New Year's Eve, 1916. The Hampton Hotel caught on fire. And this was a grand hotel. It was absolutely amazing. Unbelievable hotel. It was the destination of its time. Okay. Hampton Terrace, 5 floors, 300 rooms, could accommodate 500 guests in luxury. It was completed in 1903. It cost $500,000 plus an additional $150,000 in furnishings. The Rockefellers stayed there. The Firestones, Marshall Field stayed there. It was a grand hotel. And there you go. I mean, you got South Carolina. You got beautiful weather. You had access to airports. You have the river right there, the Savannah River going through right there at North Augusta. And there were plans to make North Augusta, South Carolina, the movie capital of the world. That's what they wanted to do. And that was moving forward until this hotel fire happened. Now, maybe that's for the best or maybe not. In fact, there was the remnants of that hotel was a little, it was turned into a motel later on. Gosh, I can't even remember that thing. You used to have a place there called the Buffalo Room, and it was I think it was the Seven Gables. I think it was called the Seven Gables. And North Augusta, South Carolina was almost Hollywood, except for that fire. Well, Nikki Haley now might want South Carolina to be Disneyland. Now, remember what Ron DeSantis is doing against Disney down there. Because why? Disney is woke. Disney is completely woke. Well, Nikki Haley, and by the way, I didn't think Nikki Haley was actually a spokesperson for the state of South Carolina, but she likes to pretend that she is one. Listen to what she had to say on Fox News about Disney.
I want to ask you about what could be another Republican candidate in the field, and that is Ron DeSantis. We just learned a few moments ago that Disney is now suing the Florida governor for alleging political effort to hurt their business. We've all been watching this back and forth for quite some time. This is obviously dramatically escalating the feud between Disney and Ron DeSantis. They're alleging that the Republican governor has waged a, quote, relentless campaign to weaponize government power over the company. What is your reaction to that, as we still have yet to see him jump officially into the race?
You know, as governor, I took a double-digit unemployment state and I turned it into an economic powerhouse. Businesses were my partners, because if you take care of your businesses, you take care of your economy takes care of the people, and everyone wins. And so that's the way we dealt with it. South Carolina was a very anti-woke state. It still is. And if Disney would like to move their hundreds of thousands of jobs to South Carolina and bring the billions of dollars with them, I'll let them know. I'll be happy to meet them in South Carolina and introduce them to the governor and the legislature that would welcome it.
Oh, really? Yeah, I bet they would. I bet they would love all. Could you imagine the disaster that South Carolina would become if Disney were to move here? Just let that roll around your noggin there for just a little bit. The reason that Ron DeSantis is fighting Disney is because they are woke. Their wokedom is what got them into this mess. We certainly do not need more woke businesses here in South Carolina. Sorry, Nikki Haley, but you are no longer a representative of the state of South Carolina, okay? Not, you have ultimately no official capacity right now to be speaking like that. And do you think the governor really needs you for the introduction? No, I don't think so. No. The last thing that we need is Disney. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Where are they going to put it? Where are they going to put it? Where would they put Disney here in South Carolina? Columbia? No. The Low Country? Where? Where are you going to put that? No. Sorry, Nikki. Sorry. Not going to happen. Should not happen. Charlie, oh, heck no. Disney in South Carolina, we have too many perverts, pedophiles, and wokesters in this state. Charlie, this is what the top military brass worries about World War III looming. Tucker must be a serious threat. You're right. But no, Nikki Haley, and I'm sure if she were governor, she would welcome Disney to South Carolina. And then we would be the home of wokeness. We would be the home of everything that Disney these days has to offer. No. Charlie, we got a new Disney build off of Woodruff Road, if just not busy enough. That's right. That's right. Hey, Charlie, what we need is a competing company. We need Charlie Land. That's right. Charlie Land. We could do that. Charlie, Orangeburg needs the job. So you're going to bring them into, you're going to put Disney there. Oh, no. What an unmitigated disaster that would be. Because look at what they've become. Look at what they've become. Look at everything that they have done. Look at all the, the wokeness. And by the way, Nikki, do you think that Disney would really be bringing the top tier, high level jobs to South Carolina? Do you think they would be hiring people from South Carolina if they brought those? No, it's just like Scout. Scout's not going to bring the high paying jobs to South Carolina. Oh, they'll bring, the regular paying jobs. But the really good jobs, they're bringing in people from their home corporations from other states. They're going to be bringing them here. And what's going to come with them? Their voting record is going to come with them. They're not going to leave their politics at home. Good night. Does this woman not even think before she talks? That's ridiculous. So, what percentage of the vote? I mean, this is from a woman who is getting, at best, 4% in the polls right now. Let me just see what the latest polls had with Nikki Haley and why Fox News is giving her any 3%. She's got 3% in the polls. New Reuters poll out. Trump's got 49, DeSantis 23. Nikki Haley, you're getting beat by Mike Pence in this poll. You've only got 1 percentage point more than Vivek Ramaswamy and Tim Scott. So why they're giving her any credence at all is beyond me. But to make a comment like that, like we want to make, what do you want to do? You want to make South Carolina Orlando? No. Charlie, you could put it out there at Lake Wateree. You could put it out at Lake Wateree. Yeah. Charlie, Disney could take over south of the border. Oh, there you go. There you go. I don't know. I don't know where you would put it. I don't know how you would handle it. But the people of South Carolina would be the big losers there. Charlie, no, Disney won't bring the really good jobs, but South Carolina doesn't want those kind of jobs anyway. We love us some minimum wage tourism jobs, though. Charlie, Disney needs to relocate to south side of Chicago. Charlie, no thinking before she's speaking. That's what qualifies her to run for president. You might be right. You might be right. But I mean, it's why? Is it because you're afraid? Does Nikki Haley make a comment like that because she's afraid of DeSantis? Again, she's polling at 3%. 3%. Let's see, Charlie, how many businesses has Nikki run? In other words, what makes her feel she's qualified to call the shots on this? Charlie, I'd rather see Universal Studios here. I don't know. I don't think we're going to get any of that. I think I think Disney, and the reason that DeSantis is having such a problem with Disney is because basically they're their own entity. You see, anywhere else in Florida, you have to have permission to build a road. You've got to have permission to put in drainage. You've got to have permission to put in sewage. You've got to have permission to use all of these resources, except Disney does not have to get those permissions from the government. They are their own body down there. So I don't know. No, it'd be a really bad idea to bring Disney here. Other businesses, like what is that? FN Arms that was trying to get that expansion down in, was it Richland County? And they got shot down, literally and figuratively. Meanwhile, Scout gets all that money from the state. You is what I'm talking about. Charlie, unfortunately, the kind of jobs Nikki Haley would bring to South Carolina are X-rated jobs. Oh, you are bad. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Let your voice be heard. Call the GS Plumbing Talk Line now. 800-905-0989. Save it on your phone. That's 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, Jeffrey Marsh is back. You remember Jeffrey Marsh, the trans guy who wants to, basically, if you're a trans kid, he is literally trying to separate you from your family. Here's just a couple of clips from Jeffrey Marsh.
I hope you need to hear this today. Let them lose you. They have had enough chances to have a beautiful, brilliant, sparkling, giving person like you in their lives. Let them lose you.
Okay. Then Jeffrey Marsh said, hey, listen, if your family doesn't accept you, I'll be your family.
If you do not have a family that loves you, I'm going to be your family.
I'm going to be your family. And then Jeffrey Marsh issues a warning.
Let me tell you something about LGBTQ rights, about trans rights. This is only going in one direction. You will respect us. You can be upset. You can be angry. You can think it's unfair. You can feel like we're stealing something from you. But it's still only going in one direction. You will respect us.
Ooh, I'm scared of Jeffrey Marsh. Well, now Jeffrey Marsh is actually saying that folks like us are doing to kids what they're actually doing. And I'll let Jeffrey Marsh explain this himself.
Do you know why they always target trans kids? It's because trans kids have no power. They can't fight back. That's number one.
Aha.
But they also always target trans kids so that trans kids have no support.
Aha. Well, Jeffrey Marsh, let me tell you something, big fella. That's what trans people do to kids. So I can just juxtapose that just as easily. Do you know why trans people target kids? Because kids have no power. Because kids have nobody to stand up for them. At least not these days. That's why it is so wildly important for this group of people to be in front of children every possible time that they can. Drag queen story hour, drag queen shows for kids, teaching kids how to, come on. Jeffrey Marsh, you just said exactly what you are doing. You're targeting children because you want those children to grow up to be trans, period. That's the whole reason that you're doing it. This is part of your plan. We're trying to protect kids from all this mess. We're trying to protect them. But you're trying to groom them. And this person is right. 034, Charlie, this Marsh guy's a freak. Sounds like a cult leader. Exactly. Exactly like a cult leader. That's what they do. That's what gangs do. Hey, you got a bad home life? Come on. Come on. You can be in my family. That's what cult leaders do. That's what Manson did. That's what all of these, Jim Jones, that's what he did. All of these people. Hey, come on. You can be part of our family. We'll nurture you. We won't discipline you. Everything you say is going to be right and wonderful and awesome. It's all going to be candy canes and lollipops and unicorns and Skittles. Everything is going to be wonderful. Your parents are too harsh on you. Your parents expect you to act and behave a certain way. We don't have that expectation of you. You can do whatever you want, right? Charlie, separate the kids from whatever support they have. You're exactly right. That's what they want to do. And who are the ones that actually support them? The people that want to protect them from this stuff. The people that want to protect kids from that. This is a great episode of the Andy Griffith Show. Great episode where Buddy Ebsen played a hobo. And Opie thought that being a hobo was the coolest thing in the world because, you know, this guy talked it up. Buddy Ebsen talked it up real big. So Andy Taylor, he's got to go confront the guy and say, listen, the path that you're trying to lead this guy on is not in his best interest. So then Buddy Ebsen said, well, don't you think he should make that decision? And Andy says, no, that's not the way things work. That's not the way things work. Kids aren't able to make decisions like that in their life. Kids, I mean, they're children. Their brains aren't developed. They don't have enough life experience to know that the red eye on the stove is hot. Don't touch it. They don't have life experience enough to know that if you take a fork or a butter knife and you put it into a wall socket, it could kill you. So what do parents do? They warn their children about that. And even some parents go even as far as to child-proof their wall sockets to keep kids, to protect the children. So it's amazing. Charlie, that clip is so relevant today. I'm going to try to find it and play it for you because it is extremely relevant. Extremely relevant. That you can't just let kids go out there and make their own decisions because they will always, every single time, make the wrong one. They will make the wrong decision. They will make the bad choice. They will take the easy choice. They will take the choice that promises them more fun, but will lead them to a road to ruin. And that's what Jeffrey Marsh and all of these other people that are doing this, that's the road that they want those kids to be on. Because if you can get the kids to accept them, then obviously kids are good. So therefore you're good. Right? Charlie, it was on TV last night. I did not know that. I watch Andy all the time. It's a great show. Probably one of the best shows ever on television was Andy Griffith. 100%. Just absolutely fantastic. So I'll try to find that clip coming up for you and play it because it is relevant to today. Charlie, this guy, Charlie, that creepy Marsh guy needs to be arrested. You're exactly, oh, he does, yeah. Charlie, this guy is lucky he's not run across a real parent. He hides from real parents. Oh, he hangs out with Dylan Mulvaney, and they probably drink Bud Light. But that's a sick individual. It really is. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Retirement planning text line.
It's 71307.
It's the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, here's that clip from Andy Griffiths that really sums up what I've been talking about today with these groomers. It's more relevant now than maybe it was back then.
Well, there seems to be something wrong with his thinking. He's gotten a little twisted on things lately, like being able to tell the difference between right and wrong. Not that that's an easy thing. A lot of grown-ups still struggling with that same problem. But it's especially difficult for a youngster, because things rub off on them so easy.
I see. You're suggesting that maybe I'm not fit company for Opie?
That would seem to be the case.
Well, Sheriff, maybe I do look at things differently than other people. Is that wrong? I live by my wits. I'm not above bending the law now and then to keep clothes on my back or food in my stomach. I live the kind of life that other people would just love to live if they only had the courage. Who's to say that the boy would be happier your way or mine? Why not let him decide?
No, I'm afraid it don't work that way. You can't let a young'un decide for himself. He'll grab at the first flashy thing with shiny ribbons on it. Then when he finds out there's a hook in it, it's too late. Wrong ideas come packaged with so much glitter, it's hard to convince them that other things might be better in the long run. And all a parent can do is say, wait, trust me, and try to keep temptation away.
That means that you're inviting me to leave.
That's right.
Well, you're wearing a badge, so I'll leave. That wasn't so difficult. Your problem solved.
That's where you're wrong. That boy thinks just about everything you do is perfect. So my problem's just beginning. You've left behind an awful lot of unscrambling to be done.
Now look here.
Goodbye, Mr. Dave.
Yep. An awful lot of unscrambling to be done. And that's what these folks are doing when they are trying to recruit children into this lifestyle. And that's the only way that you can really define it. This is a recruiting effort. Look where we are. Look exactly where we are. Now we've got entire hospital wings that are devoted to surgery for young people who have decided that they don't want to be the gender that they were born with. Right? That's right. So, Charlie, I disagree. Children can make good decisions when the bad choice isn't painted in pretty pastels. But that's the thing. They're painting them in pretty pastels. That's what these folks on the left are doing. They're painting this, and I mean, all you got to do is look at the outfits. Look at Dylan Mulvaney. Look at Jeffrey Marsh. Look at all of these other people that are doing this. So you can disagree all you want to, but in practice, you know I'm right. So, hey, Charlie, all these people can do is recruit. They cannot reproduce. Yep. And again, it's all about making sure that kids accept them. Because if a child accepts you, well, obviously, that means you're a good person. If children love us, we're good people. Everything is fine. It's kind of like that people that some people that dogs just love them. Well, they must be good people. Dogs love me. Maybe it's because you've got a pocket full of milk bones. And that's what they do. That's the only thing they can do. But ultimately, like Andy said, shiny ribbons full of hooks. And these kids are, at some point in their life, going to regret the people that were supposed to stand up for them, the people that were supposed to protect them. They're going to lament that those people didn't do that, that they allowed this ideology to come along and destroy their lives. And that's the only way you can define it. They're looking to destroy their lives. They're looking to destroy them. They're looking to hypersexualize them with the books that are in the library. They're looking to hypersexualize them with the shows that they're putting on. They're looking to hypersexualize them at almost every turn. And then when that happens, what's the next thing going to be? Because they have to shock. They have to shock. That's it. That's the whole reason they do it, to shock people. And then when this becomes, if it ever becomes mainstream, hope it doesn't, but if it does, that's not going to be good enough either. You're going to have to do something else to shock society, because that's what they want to do. That's how they want to get the attention that they crave so desperately. The GS Plumbing Talk Line, 800-905-0989. The Common Sense Retirement Planning text line, 71307. You can always email me, Charlie, at 989WORD.com. Would love to chat with you this afternoon. Hey, Charlie, do you think we are flowering the language up by saying children are getting sex reassignment surgery rather than just saying they're going in for a sex change? Want to make it easy on the enemy? Yeah, of course. Of course you're softening the language. It's gender reassignment. It's gender reassignment surgery. That's all it is. You're just reassigning your gender. You don't get to reassign your gender. You don't do that. Listen, you can go to a beauty salon. You can go to a beauty salon and you can dye your hair any color you want. Have you changed the color of your hair? No. No, you haven't. If you were born with brown hair, you can dye it all you want to. You've still got brown hair. That doesn't matter. You can put on as much makeup as you want to. You can alter yourself in any way you want to. So, there you go. Charlie, my sixth grader, just lost her best friend since first grade because her friend became obsessed with this LGBT stuff, so she dumped her. You're right. You're right. Charlie, you're right. When they get what they want, it'll never be enough. So you have to replace it with something even more glittery. Perversion just breeds more perversion. The devil's bag is always empty. That's a great quote. The devil's bag is always empty. You're exactly right. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. Well, we were just talking about Dylan Mulvaney and Jeffrey Marsh and all these people. Ladies, Dylan Mulvaney is the new face of Maybelline. That's right. You heard me right. The new face, maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. Another product giving credence to Dylan Mulvaney. Unreal. So, any of you ladies out there using Maybelline, are you still going to continue to use this? But since, I mean, they could have chosen a woman to be their spokesperson, but they didn't. They chose a man. You are so being erased. Oh, my goodness. I don't want to hear another word from women about equality. I don't want to hear one more stinking, mumbling word from a woman about being equal. Forget it, because you've given that up. That's out the window. Sorry. Bye-bye. All of those years, all of those people who fought so hard for women's rights, you're just going to sit there and let it go. Okay, fine. Hey, great. Good. Who's going to be next? Who do you think the next product Dylan Mulvaney should endorse should be? Anybody? Yeah. I don't know. Just think about that for a second. All right, the GS Plumbing Talk Line, 800-905-0989. The Common Sense Retirement Planning text line, 71307 is the text line. So, in Minnesota, going back to exactly what I was talking about, there's a transgender representative in Minnesota who has introduced a bill that would exclude pedophiles from the protected class of sexual orientation. So let me just read to you what it says. It says, a bill for an act relating to human rights, removing certain sections of the Human Rights Act that allow for discrimination based on sexual orientation, amending Minnesota statutes, blah, blah, blah. They go to say gender identity. Well, hold on. It says sexual orientation means having or being perceived as having an emotional, physical, or sexual attachment to another person without regard to the sex of that person, or being perceived as having an orientation for such attachment. Sexual orientation does not include a physical or sexual attachment to children by an adult. So this representative up in Minnesota has struck out that part, basically wanting to add pedophiles to the protected class of sexual orientation. Think about that. Now, I've been telling you that this was the obvious next step, right? It's the obvious next step. And now what do you got? Minor attracted people, the MAPs. They want to legitimize that. And this goes back to, I think it was a TEDx talk that I saw one time where this person was saying that pedophiles, that's just another sexual orientation. That's all it is. It's nothing to worry about. Nothing to be chastised about or ridiculed or shamed. It's just the way you are. That's the Democrat Party. That's exactly what that is. How can we not beat that? Literally, how can Republicans not beat people with that ideology? You've got to be able to. This should be one of the biggest talking points in the next election. In every election, it should be. Charlie, how about Playtex bras for Dylan? No, Nike's already beaten them to it. Charlie, Victoria's Secret should dress him up. That's right. Yeah. Well, there is another lingerie company out there, and I can't remember the name of it, but they've got a male model. And one of their big models in their line, she quit because of it. Good for her. Good for her. So, hey, Charlie, how about sanitary napkins? That's already happened. Already happened. Charlie, have you heard about the new beer, Ultra Right? Yes, I have. Conservative Dad's Ultra Right beer. You're exactly right. So, I don't know. It's insanity. How can you not beat that? That should be a no-brainer with the average American out there. Should be. Pampers. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. All right. Oh, it's one of those things where you have to sit there and you go, this cannot be real. Tim, we might actually be living in the Matrix. I know you say we're not, but this has got to be some sort of a simulation that we're living in.
I don't think so, but I mean, it could be.
It's got to be. There's no way that people can actually stand there and say this is acceptable in society. There's just no way. It's got to be some sort of a simulation. We got to break free.
It is mind blowing.
It really is. It really is. So I just you sit there and you just look at what's happening, and you look at who the folks on the left are supporting. And you have to imagine there's families in Kansas and Ohio and all these places, they're just sitting around the table, just trying to put food on the table and go to work, do a hard day's work for a decent wage, and this is the direction that everybody's going. Just a crazy thing. Charlie, Joe Biden is a map. I read that. Charlie, Tim is in his own matrix. You are exactly right. You're exactly right. He is. Charlie, we're living in the twilight zone. We've got to be. Got to be. So, somebody stop the matrix. I want off. Charlie, our world is crazy for sure. Anyone who votes Democrat is just plain ignorant. No other way to put it. And they hate America. Trump 2024. I agree with you, 355. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Never miss a minute. The GS Plumbing Talk Line. Now, 800-50989. Save it on your phone. That's 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Yesterday, Joe Biden released that video about him running for re-election. And did you notice who was missing in it? There was somebody that wasn't in it. Somebody wasn't there. Kamala Harris wasn't in it. How about that? So it doesn't, it's just seems like it wasn't really such a ad for the ticket as it was Joe Biden by himself. But why would you leave Kamala Harris out of something so important? Why would you do that? I mean, this woman, man, when she talks, it's like angels singing. Oh, it is so melodious. It is like every word is pure, unmitigated poetry. It really is.
So I think it's very important, as you have heard from so many incredible leaders, for us at every moment in time, and certainly this one, to see the moment in time in which we exist and are present, and to be able to contextualize it, to understand where we exist in the history and in the moment as it relates not only to the past, but the future.
Wow. Wow. That needs to be on a plaque somewhere. Somewhere. In the every moment in time, and certainly this one, to see the moment in time in which we exist and are present, to be able to contextualize it, to understand where we exist in this history and the moment as it relates not only to the past, but the future. What in the world was that? What did she just say? This is... Oh, my word. It's literally like she's trying to read alphabet soup. She's trying to mix it all up, stir it up there, trying to form these words that appear at the top of the alphabet soup. Unbelievable. It really, really is. Charlie, my head hurts. And will hurt worse if I think about that word salad. That was all. And you're right, 182. Nothing but gobbledygook. That is how a stupid person thinks a smart person sounds. That's exactly what it is. That's how a stupid person thinks a smart person sounds. But they can't pull it off. They just cannot do it. Kamala Harris is obviously not bright. Charlie, some more circular word salad from Kamala's kindergarten lecture series. Yep, you're right. I don't even know the hell she was talking about. I will guarantee you, nobody knows what she was talking about. It was, it's just, well, God bless her. She wants to be an intellectual, but she's just not equipped. She doesn't have the synapse firing mechanism that would allow her to actually put together a string of words that inspire, that even make sense. She just can't do it. She can't pull it off. Think about this. Think about this for a minute. Joe Biden, there's a very good chance that Joe Biden might not be the stupidest person in the executive branch of the United States. Just for a moment, give the man credit for not being as dumb as Kamala Harris. I know that's a stretch because I know they're really neck and neck. Let's just for a minute. Imagine President Kamala Harris And then imagine that State of the Union speech. Tim, could you imagine her standing there before a joint session of Congress, giving a speech that sounds anything like that?
Yeah,
It would.
She's very condescending when she talks.
Oh,
Too,
she is condescending.
Yeah.
But couldn't you imagine every leader in the world, like they're already doing with this administration, every leader in the world going, "Oh my God, these people are stupid.
Oh yeah.
This is the dumbest group of people I've ever seen in my life."
I feel sorry for those Americans that have to deal with that. Maybe that's what they think.
Yeah. I would love to hear somebody that I really would love to hear somebody like Joy Reid, maybe Joy Behar, or any of the biddies on The View actually come out and compliment that speech by Kamala Harris. And then maybe if they would, as a service to this nation, explain what she said about this moment in time being contextualized in which we exist and are present. we have to look back at Hey, Charlie, what's funny is she hasn't fired her speechwriter yet. She thinks it's good. You're right. Hey, Charlie, Biden-Harris would be a photo finish for the stupidest person. Yeah, and it would be the dumbest picture ever taken. Charlie, the thing is, she paid someone to write that for her. Golly, that is a waste of taxpayer money.
Must have been an intern.
Yeah, it would have to be. You know what? I bet she might have used artificial intelligence.
Oh yeah, ChatGPT.
And may have used ChatGPT.
Oh, they're everywhere now. You can get them.
ChatGPT, write me an inspirational speech about politics. And it would come up with something better than that.
I think it actually would too. The AI actually does pretty decent with like.
Yeah,
writing.
It does. It really does. So,
although I have seen some AI videos going around, and I can usually tell if it's AI.
Oh, can you really?
Yeah, it's just the way the mouths move and stuff. You can kind of see it, but
you mean with the video?
Yeah, there's some videos floating around that have been AI.
But listen, I mean that's kind of a new thing, right?
Yeah, very very new.
Let me see. I'm going to say write an inspirational. Let's see. An inspirational political speech. Let's say about America. Let's see about. Let's see. Let's just see what it does. It's working on it. Here we go. This is already better.
Oh, wow.
This is already better. Today, I stand before you filled with hope, optimism, and a deep sense of responsibility. As we look out at the challenges facing our great nation, it is natural to feel a sense of doubt or fear. But I am here to remind you that we are the United States of America, and we are a people who have always risen to meet every challenge and overcome every obstacle. We have faced countless trials throughout our history, from the American Revolution to the Civil War to the Great Depression, and we have emerged stronger each time. That is better than anything she has done. We have seen the best in America over the past year. We have come together to fight against global pandemic, blah, blah, blah.
Hey,
wow.
Was that, you could just take that speech and run for president, man.
I think I will.
Right
I think I will. I'm Charlie James, and I approve this message. Don't I, ChatGPT? We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
1307.
Powered by Common Sense Retirement Planning.
Be a part of the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Welcome back to the program. Man, what a chilly day today out there. It just is unbelievable. I mean, cold, windy, rainy. And ironically, Tim, did you know this time of year is the worst time of year for what?
Pollen.
Not pollen. You sound like you got some pollen going on, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, well, maybe we need a Charlie Challenge. That's right, because I know you're the smartest, hippest, most with it, most intellectual, most informed radio audience in all the land. I bring you this Charlie Challenge. This time of year, believe it or not, is the worst time of year for what? Tim has said pollen, but that is not the answer we are looking for. What do you think this time of year, the end of April, the beginning of May, is the worst time of the year for?
Ooh, storms.
No, not storm. Well, yeah, but not the answer I'm looking for.
Okay.
Maybe so. Maybe so. That because you get all those summer storms coming and all of that.
All those tropical storms.
Yeah, boy, I tell you what, those things are. Have you seen some of those tornadoes and all that stuff that have been happening in the Midwest? But this is actually the worst time of the year for 378 got it right. 378 got it right. 539 said fleas. Maybe. I don't know. It could be. 023 said taxes. One person said flu, colds, snow. One person said. A couple of people actually said fleas. Heart attacks was an answer. Flu was another answer.
Ants.
Not ants. Oh, they're popping up everywhere, though. And I got a question for you guys that I'll ask in just a second. Remind me to ask this question about ants. Okay, Tim?
Okay.
I don't want to forget about it. This is actually 009 has it right. One other person has it right as well. Sunburns.
Sunburn?
Yep.
I guess so.
This because you're coming out of winter. You hadn't been wearing your sunscreen.
Yeah, your skin's weak.
Your skin's white as the driven snow.
Yeah.
And people get out there and they start to, getting out in the sun and it's a little hotter than they think it is. And they get sunburns.
Yeah, that already happened to me.
You already got a sunburn?
Uh-huh.
I hate sunburns.
I got it when I was mowing the grass.
Ooh, I despise sunburns. I can't. Oh boy, I got sunburned so bad as a kid. I had blisters.
See, I don't get them that bad.
Ooh.
And they don't bother me.
How would you? You know the worst part about the sunburn?
What's that?
It's not. How do I put this? It's when it starts to heal.
Oh yeah, when it starts itching.
It starts itching.
And peeling.
Oh, I can't take that. Oh, I can't take that. I can't take the itching. I just don't want to itch. No, I have itch phobia. I can't stand it. It's phobia. I don't want it. Even the thought of itching makes me cringe. I can't stand itching. But let me ask you about these
ants.
Out at the golf course, we have what look like ant holes all over the place.
Right.
All over the place. Little mounds of that of clay, with a hole in the middle. And they look like anthills, small anthills. But they're flying insects that come out of those holes.
Like dirt daubers?
No, they're not dirt daubers. These are somebody said they were tiny little bees. And I have no idea what they are, but they're little, tiny little things.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones that are making those holes.
Yeah. I know that yellow jackets nest in the ground sometimes. Are they yellow jackets?
Yeah, yellow jackets do. But these aren't yellow jackets. These are tiny little things. And I don't know what they are. I wish I had an answer. Hey, Charlie, I once got sunburned on the top of my feet at the beach. I looked funny walking around wearing, I don't even want to think about that. No, they're not termites, Charlie, I had what is called hell's itch one time. It's when you get sunburned so bad your skin gets damaged and itches no matter how much you scratch it. It will not go away. I literally sat in the corner and cried. I have felt like doing that myself. Just the itching that will not stop. And you can't scratch it because your skin is sensitive
Yeah.
with a sunburn. So
I don't know. Maybe I just don't get burnt that bad, but I mean, I still get burnt and it hurts, but it's not like that.
I like to take care of, I do everything I can to make sure I don't get sunburned. So, sweat bees. Are they sweat bees? Really?
Oh, okay.
They might be. Digger bees, ground bees, they say. Charlie, they're immigrant insects from Ukraine. you might be right. Flying ants and termites both live in the ground, but these because I know what flying ants look like, and I know what termites look like because my dad, when I was growing up, was a orchid man. So I know what those are. These are things I'm not acquainted with. Charlie, digger bees or ground bees? Might be right. Charlie, Noxzema skin cream is the best for sunburn, and they might be sand wasps. Now, I've heard of this too. Hemorrhoid cream to help with a sunburn. Okay. No comment from Tim on that. Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, you don't have to. But I thought you might say something about using hemorrhoid cream as a sunburn remedy.
No, I don't think I have ever had a need for that.
There you go. Let's see. Charlie, I'm a pest control tech. I don't remember the real name, but they're digger bees or ground bees. Maybe so. Now, here's what I've heard for a sunburn, and I've actually done this, and it did work to some extent. If you take aspirin and you grind up your aspirin, and then you use Malox, and you make a paste out of it, and you put that on your skin, it, from what I remember, it helped a lot.
My wife had an aloe plant.
Yeah.
That we used for, sunburns, and
Sure.
that worked amazing, actually.
Yeah, aloe works good. Aloe's very good. Charlie, as a kid, my mom would put milk of magnesia on my skin for sunburns. That's what I've heard. Yeah, I've heard that too. Charlie was a type of little blue wasp that come in from Canada that burrows in the ground like that. Might be a little blue wasp. I know they're tiny little boogers.
There's blue ones now.
So we got the killer bees. We got the anyway.
I hate bees.
Yeah, these things fly. Charlie, I wish I wish hemorrhoid cream worked on Democrats. That would be awesome. Just put a little hemorrhoid cream on your hand, walk up to a Democrat, pat them on the back. All of a sudden they go away. Yeah. Charlie, I think somebody's pulling the wool over your eyes with the aspirin and Malox just to see if you'll do it. Well, I did do it. I can't remember if it worked or not. All I know is I will do everything to avoid a sunburn. I just do not, the whole feeling, the whole thought of it is just, awful to me. Can't stand it. So anyway, this is the worst time of the year for sunburn. So while you're out there, maybe going to be doing something over the weekend or getting out there, being a little bit more active, make sure you take care of yourself. Because any type of sunburn is damage to your skin.
Yeah.
And it, some of it will definitely show up later on in life. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Save it on your phone. That's 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Just to let you know how crazy the folks are on the left, as if we haven't given you enough evidence today. In the state of Washington, there's a school district that has announced that they are going to cut music classes. That's right. They're going to do away with music classes. Tim, can you guess why they're doing away with music classes at this school district in Washington? What do you think the reason is?
Woke.
No, you got to be more specific. That's a very general statement these days.
Yeah, it is. Now that I think about it. Because it's offensive to deaf people.
Oh. Oh. You know what? You may have outwoke the woke. You may have outwoked them.
You know, I've heard somebody say that
They
before.
they didn't think about that. No. Because music classes promote white supremacy and institutional violence.
Oh, of course it does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Olympia School District, which comprises 19 schools that enroll 10,000 students, they had a school board meeting the other day. Can you imagine the collective brain trust that must have been? The board members voted to eliminate the district's music classes. It was a 3-hour meeting. The board discussed cutting 4th and 5th grade band and orchestra classes to accommodate that district's $11.5 million budget shortfall and combat racism. School board director Scott Clifthorne explained that the district's elementary instrumental music courses were disproportionately administered at each campus. We know that people experience different amounts of time at elementary instrumental music education. We know that there are some places where students never miss core instruction as a result of going to instrumental music. And we know that there are other campuses where that's a struggle. They also said that orchestra classes are entrenched in and surrounded by a culture of white supremacy. Yeah, that's right. He did add that there is nothing intrinsically white supremacist about string or wind instruments music, but that the courses have the potential to push a racist culture within the district. You see, it's got the potential. So the ways in which it is and the ways in which all of our institutions, not just schools, but local governments, state governments, our churches, our neighborhoods, inculcate and allow white supremacy culture to continue to be propagated and caused significant institutional violence are the, this guy thought I worked for Kamala Harris. There are things at which we have to think about carefully as a community. So while it is not intrinsically racist, it could be, you see. That's what they're saying. So they're going to do away with music classes because it is white supremacy. That's where they're going with that. And that's all they got. That's all they got. So they got $11.9 million budgetary shortfall, $11.5 million. So they got to cut something. Now, notice they don't cut administrators. Notice they don't cut salaries of administrators. Notice none of that stuff goes by the wayside. It's the music classes. And then to justify the music classes going away, they have to come up with the only thing that they have, because they're all one-trick ponies. They got one trick, and that's it. They're kind of like Shields and Yarnell. The only thing they had was acting like a robot. They just put them in different situations, acting like a robot. Doesn't matter where they are, they're still acting like a robot. So you take any situation out there, add racism into it, and then you got to do away with it. That's all they got. The race card is it. And now they're doing away with music education, which, by the way, music education has been shown to increase people's IQ. Actually increase people's IQ. Charlie, how much are the board members making? That's a good question. That's a real good question. So, hey, Charlie, I took a van from middle school through high school, and I went at times. Well, no, don't know what you mean by that text, but there you go. But that's it. That's everything is racist. Everything is phobic. You pick the phobia: transphobia, homophobia, Islamophobia, this phobia, that phobia, every phobia. Charlie, how long will it be before they outlaw homeschooling as being white supremacy? Oh, well, they haven't outlawed it yet, but they're certainly against it. They're certainly against it because homeschooling is actually showing that our education system is failing. And it's failing bigly. Bigly. Because the homeschool kids are doing better than the other kids. Let's go to Robert in Greenville. Is Robert still there, Tim?
Oh, no, he's gone.
Oh, Robert is gone. Again, the GS Plumbing talk line, 800-905-0989. The Common Sense Retirement Planning text line, 71307. Charlie, we must devote more time and effort to the African classes like, well, even if they did, I wouldn't even care if they did that. I wouldn't even care if you had an African-American, primarily African-American school, and you had music class that studied African-American composers, African-American musicians, African-American, whatever, that would be fine too. But don't come along and say that you're cutting classes because it's intrinsically racist to teach wind instruments or whatever. You just, that's a ridiculous argument. And it hurts the kids, but they don't care. They don't care. Charlie, like a school superintendent is going to give up part of their budget to make the whole budget work? Exactly. Exactly. So, but thankfully, I was about to say, thankfully, we don't have that here in South Carolina, but I can't absolutely be sure about that, right? Because, I mean, look, we've got the librarian of the year was big on critical race theory. One of the teachers of the year, big on critical race theory. Let's go to Brian in Landrum and talk to him. Brian, how are you?
Super, heading home.
Yes, sir. What's on your mind?
Hey, I was just going to tell you really how important the music classes, the music is. I mean, it helps kids with math. It helps kids with reading. It helps kids socialize. I was in the band for 6 years and helped after I graduated. My wife was in the band for 6 years, helped after she graduated.
Mm-hmm.
Our son was in the band for 8 years, helped afterwards, helped out at another school while he was still in high school, both Landrum and Polk County, and went to Winthrop to be a music major.
Yeah.
It makes a major impact on children.
Sure.
And you rob them of that social and just the ability to learn and be there in those classes. That's absolute robbery there. That's just a crime.
I agree, for something that doesn't even exist. I appreciate it, Brian. Thank you. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
The following segment has been paid for by Americans for Prosperity, South Carolina.
This is the Charlie James Show. Local talk done right.
News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, what is getting done down in Columbia? Joining us right now is Candace Carroll with Americans for Prosperity, South Carolina. Candace, welcome to the program. How are you?
Good, Charlie. How are you?
Fantastic. We were chatting a little bit back and forth the other night about the certificate of need. Can you give us a little bit of an update on that?
Yes, absolutely. So really exciting day down in Columbia today for that. So there was a committee hearing this morning, a full committee hearing on the House side, scheduled for 8:15. So bright and early this morning. But we saw something, I would say, really historic happen on the House side, and that committee voted unanimously to advance the bill to the House floor.
Wow.
They did which is huge. And we didn't see that last year, as a lot of listeners may remember. It died in committee last year. But we are anticipating a House floor debate on certificate of need, potentially as early as Tuesday of next week, because it'll get 24 hours, point of order tomorrow, and it'll come up next week. Which is great, exciting for patients. There was an amendment added to it in committee that I do want to address. So what that amendment did is it took off that 8 operating room cap that was on the ambulatory surgery centers and removed that completely. So an ambulatory surgery center can open across the state with no cap on how many operating rooms they have. One.
Now,
and then
I take that as a good thing, right? That's a good amendment.
I think that's great.
Okay,
yes,
good.
That's great.
I want to make sure I have this right.
Yes. And then the other piece of the amendment did is that it did put a 3-year sunset. So our hospitals will remain under certificate of need for 3 years. Now, there's been a lot of discussion as to where does this 3 years come from? Why is this coming into play? And of course, we would love to see an immediate repeal, but I'm also a realist, Charlie.
Yeah.
And I understand, right? Our hospitals have done long-term planning, forecasting, all of that. So this gives them an opportunity, if there's projects in play, whatever that may be, certificate of need is gone in 3 years. So here's 3 years, get your ducks in a row, and then the program is gone completely. I also think that is great. It's a way to say we understand and we heard the concerns from hospitals that they've been talking about. We're going to give you some time to get that settled in. But then after that 3 years, January 1st, essentially 2027, by the time the governor would sign the bill and everything this year, that's gone. It's gone completely.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to open a hospital in a rural area, one of our 8 counties where there is no hospital, that 3 years does not apply to you where you would be under the certificate of need program. You could open one. If this passed, and was signed by the governor, you could open one immediately in a rural area in a county that does not have a hospital. So we are very supportive of this amendment. I think it's great. I'm excited to see it on the House floor. There's a lot of chatter, of course, from people who are like, man, this got momentum and it's moving. So I am continuing to stay cautiously optimistic about the House side as to what we might see on certificate of need this year.
Absolutely. And we also had another bill that actually is going to the governor's desk, right?
It is, yes. So this is another bill we've been working on all year this year. This is a second chance occupational licensing bill. So as we've talked about, there are, unfortunately, occupational licensing boards across the state that will issue a blanket denial for someone who has a criminal conviction, not taking into account how long ago it was, what it was for, anything like that. So what this bill does is it says that those occupational licensing boards cannot issue a blanket denial. You have to tell someone the reason for the denial, and there has to be a direct correlation between what your conviction was and the day-to-day responsibilities of the occupational license you were applying for. So let's say, for example, maybe you had a DUI when you were younger for whatever reason, and you're going to apply for your cosmetology license. Right now, that cosmetology license board will issue a blanket denial because you had a DUI at one point. But under this bill, they could no longer do that because there's not a direct correlation there. So this bill passed the House unanimously earlier this session, passed the Senate unanimously earlier this session, and then went over to the House today and was concurred in the House, and then is off to the governor's desk for his signature. So we are hoping he will sign that very soon. But I think it's another win and leans into workforce development
Right.
that, priorities that the governor set and both chambers set out earlier this year. So we're excited to see that off to the governor's desk with still 2.5 weeks of session, to go to potentially get some other bills there as well.
What other bills are you looking at? And again, if you had your wish list, what would be the next bill to go to the governor's desk?
So we would love to see some type of school choice bill get there, right? We know families during COVID, parents started leaning really heavily into school choice options, wanting to look at different things for their students. There was an open enrollment bill that we've been very supportive of that passed the House again unanimously earlier this session. It's been over in the Senate, hasn't yet gotten a committee hearing in the Senate. So we are a little struggling on the Senate side to get this up. But I think it could be a great opportunity for students in our public schools if it's able to get through the Senate and with no changes and back to the House and this quick turnaround that we have. I know that there is an ESA bill that's being debated today on the House floor. It's already passed the Senate, which gives, it's a very, I would say, smaller ESA than what we would traditionally like to see, but it will help some students in the state. So there's, hopefully that will, when I left today, they were still, talking through amendments when I, left to hop on here. So there, will be potentially an opportunity there, to get that through. There's also still this medical cannabis bill that we've been talking about for years now, is stuck on the Senate floor calendar. So it, came out of committee earlier this year, was pulled out. But it's been sitting on the Senate floor calendar, waiting on special order. And those special order slots are running out with just a short amount of time left to go.
Yeah, definitely.
So what I think that was important for listeners too in this process is the way our legislative process operates is we are in the first half of a 2-year session.
Yeah.
So these bills that don't make it through this year, they're not dead completely, and they don't have to be refiled unless, of course, they were tabled and, or adjourned a bit or whatever. But these that are just kind of stuck somewhere in the process, when they, on May 11th, 5 p.m., when they're out of there on that Thursday, these bills, when they come back in January, will be in the same exact spot. So all hope is not lost if it doesn't get done by May. That is the goal, right? But with 2.5 weeks to go, short amount of time frame to get a lot done still. But they would be in that exact same spot when they come back in January. So, I think that they would still be potentially in a good spot, depending on what people want to take up when it's an election year. So that, adds an extra factor next year.
So while you're down there in Columbia, how many special interest lobbyists do you run into on a daily basis?
Too many to count.
It's a lot. It's a lot, isn't it?
Too many to count. It's a lot. And, and it's, some of them represent amazing organizations. There were today, I wouldn't say special interest lobbyists over there, but it was Teacher of the Year, all these teachers from across the state who are the Teacher of the Year for their county where they are getting recognized. So there's always, a lot of people who are in the State House. And what we try to do at Americans for Prosperity is to come in with that, in this case, for Certificate of Need, we want to come in and represent that patient voice and that constituent voice, because you're a hospital lobbyist or down there, your doctor's lobbyist or down there, and there's no lobbyist for the patient, no lobbyist for constituents. So that's what we try to serve as. And one thing my team has done over the past couple of weeks is dropped off with all House members' signatures from 16,000 plus constituents from across the state with every single House member. And these are constituents who support getting rid of the state Certificate of Need program.
Yeah.
So this is single spaced, about 11-point font, comes out to about 300 pieces of paper, essentially a ream of paper that we have dropped off with every House member to say, look, this isn't just about hospitals. This isn't just about doctors. This impacts everyday people. And so, if you are, feel like your voice is not being heard in Columbia or not being heard in Washington, Like, raise your hand, contact us, look us up on social media at Americans for Prosperity South Carolina, follow our website, like, get involved with us, because that's what I am there to do. That's what my team is there to do, is to represent the voice of like everyday individuals who can't take time out of their schedule to be at the State House.
Exactly right. You can check them out at americansforprosperity.org. Candace, Carol, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you again next week. Thanks.
Thanks, Charlie. Bye.
Take care. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
This is Mark Levin.
So I've got several people have asked me probably in the last 15 minutes about constitutional carry. I will be honest with you, I haven't heard anything today. Last I heard was Monday night that they were going to try to get this thing out of committee. In fact, I was told it was coming out of committee and it was going up for a vote. I sent out several text messages today. I'm waiting for somebody. I sent out one to somebody over in the House, one to somebody over in the Senate to find out what is exactly going on with this. But we will find out. Now, Governor Henry McMaster had this to say today regarding guns. Here's the governor.
These criminals that commit these violent crimes with guns usually have done it before. So if we're going to have any teeth in our law and have any prevention, any preventive power, any deterrent, the crimes for committing, the penalties for committing those crimes with illegal guns must be graduated up. They are in other cases. First offense, you get a certain amount. Second offense, you get more. Third offense, you get more. Sometimes it takes a pretty stiff sentence to get the attention of some of these in this criminal underworld that we have in our state. So I have been proposing, so have other law enforcement officers for years, that we have graduated penalties for gun crimes, illegal guns in South Carolina. And I promise you, the people of this state want to see these illegal gun crimes stopped. And this would be a big tool, a big force to help us do that. And I know the election's coming up, and I would urge the citizens to be sure to tell their representatives that they think this is very important and they would like them to pass that right now before they go home next month.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a great thing. Could this be one of those things that is a setup or a precursor to passing constitutional carry? That I don't know. I am legitimately posing that question to you. Let's go to Ron in Moore and talk to him. Ron, welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Charlie. I'm going to back up about a few things you said in a couple earlier segments.
Uh-huh.
And one thing I want to say is, I'll tell you what, you talked about April and stuff like that. Well, I'm going to be 73 years old on Friday.
Oh, happy birthday, buddy. Happy birthday.
Well, thank you, man. No, it's not my birthday. It's my birth anniversary.
Oh, your birth. Okay. That sounds good.
But I just want to say, you guys are WORD. I've been listening for years. And I think, if y'all run for elections, you can be the president, or y'all pick out, choose which one you want. And Bill can run the military.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a better country, And,
oh, you're right.
You put, I don't know, Tara wants to be the president, or do you want to be the vice president, or whatever?
How would vice president be a cool job? I mean, you don't really have to do a whole lot. That might be great. But Ron, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, I'd vote for Tara for president. Heck yeah. Yes, I would. Bill Frady. Could you imagine Bill Frady, the head of the ATF? That would be absolutely perfect. Speaking of the ATF, speaking of that, coming up is just next month. Just next month. They are the ATF has got that new rule. It's a rule about the pistol brace. And one of the big questions is, will people who have a pistol brace right now, will those be illegal to guns that you own? Now, we hear that they are, right? But I think somebody remind me, is it the 31st of May? Talking about May 31st, pistol braces are going to be made, I don't even know, can you call it illegal? I mean, the ATF doesn't make laws. They can just do rules. So makes you wonder exactly what is going to go on with these. And again, this is not a law, but the ATF, when this goes into effect, the pistol brace law, are you going to be a felon? Are you going to be a felon? Well, Adam Schiff was defending the ATF director. Listen to this.
Thank you. Well, we can see now what the GOP has become. It's become the anti-ATF, anti-FBI, anti-law enforcement, pro-insurrection party. Mr. Director, I appreciate your being here. You have one of the toughest jobs in America. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle treat you like you're some kind of a mass shooter instead of someone trying to protect us from the epidemic of gun violence. And
yeah, whatever, Adam Schiff, whatever. However, the director of the ATF could not answer the question about whether or not people who currently own. Now, this is something we need to know. This is very important, right? I mean, coming May 31st, if you own a firearm with a pistol brace, will you become immediately a felon? That's something I think the director of the ATF should really know. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
When Charlie's not Let your voice be heard. Call the GS Plumbing Talk Line now. 800-905-0989. Save it on your phone. That's 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
So Director Dettelbach from the ATF was appearing before Congress today. Let's take a listen to see how that went. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Here we go. Hold on. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. Here we go.
Chief of Firearms Technology Branch wrote a letter to Alex Bosco, inventor of the stabilizing brace. We've talked about this letter already. He said, based on our evaluation, FTB finds that the submitted firearm brace, when attached to a firearm, does not convert that weapon to be fired from the shoulder and would not alter the classification of a pistol or other firearm. You're aware of this letter?
I am aware of the letter, yes.
Did Congress pass, between this letter being issued to Mr. Bosco and the production and distribution of 10 to 40 million of these braces and the implementation of your rule, did Congress pass a law? What changed?
Congress did not pass a law, but something did change. What changed is that that item that was submitted was not produced and was not the item that was marketed. And Mr. Bosco, I think before this committee, said that people were using stabilizing braces in ways that he hadn't anticipated.
Okay, let me challenge that assertion. So you say that the brace changed, and so you had to implement this rule. Well, I've got here the actual original brace that this letter was responsive to. Are you telling me that this brace is exempt from your rule?
What I'm saying is that if people have products that are not
is this brace exempt from your rule?
I can't sit here and classify.
This is the brace you wrote the letter to.
Classification, and if it's not ruled to be attached as a short-barreled rifle, it will not be subject to the rule.
Would you please quit telling this committee that the brace has changed and that's why you did the rule when in fact you're not exempting the same brace that you gave this letter to?
If the brace is submitted, we'll classify it.
Would you submit, do you still have the same agreement that this brace that the ATF agreed to in 2012 should not be under the jurisdiction of your rule?
If that brace is submitted with a firearm, we will examine and classify it. If it doesn't qualify,
reclaiming my time because it's pretty obvious you're misleading people here when you say that the brace has changed because your rule affects the braces that didn't change. How many days have passed? How many days do people have to comply with this rule?
They can always comply, but the initial period
before they're felons.
But the initial period, I believe, ends at the end of May.
Okay,
but people
end of May. So it was 120 days. Is that correct?
People are only felons if they intentionally.
Is it 120 days?
The law. I believe it's 120 days from the.
So we've got 36 days left of the 120-day grace period. Can you tell us here today how many people have complied by registering this product?
I am not sure of the exact number. I can check though and get back to you. There are people who are making applications. There also can be detachment. So in other words, we don't count. That's not for us to regulate. If somebody we wrote the rule to make it easy to comply with. If somebody just at their home detaches the weapon from the brace and keeps them apart, they do not have to register anything. They can keep the brace. They can keep the business end of the gun.
Okay, that's a great clarification. So you're not going to do some kind of constructive prosecution where you say, oh, well, you had this and you had that and you intended to connect.
Keeping them. I mean,
they can just keep them separately.
Them as we
keep them separately. Okay, because that's not clear in your rules. What is the punishment if somebody is convicted as a felon under having this piece of plastic?
If people are convicted of not following the Gun Control Act, it's a serious felony conviction. But that requires intent.
Can you just give me the number? Is it 10 years?
I don't. I believe it's a statutory maximum of 10 years.
10 years for owning a piece of plastic that you were told was legal and that you owned for a decade and that millions of people did. This is what offends the sensibilities of
it absolutely does. But let me ask you something. And then he turns around. Listen out to what else he says. I mean, if that wasn't ridiculous enough, Listen to what the ATF director said.
I don't hold myself out as a technical expert in every aspect of
Okay,
firearms,
have
but
you worked
I'm an
with-
expert in
I'm not a technical expert. Oh my gosh. These are the people that are telling you that on May 31st, if you have a piece of plastic attached to your firearm, you're a felon. However, yes, I have saved this. I have saved this statement. He just said, if you keep them apart, because remember, before this, they were telling you you had to destroy it. You had three options. Number one, you had to register your rifle, your pistol, as a short-barreled rifle. That comes with a hefty tax, by the way. Number two, you could turn in your firearm. Or number three, you could detach and destroy the brace. That was what they told you before. Now, it's all you have to do is keep them apart. All you got to do is keep them apart. Charlie, the ATF director, sounds like he's never fired a weapon in his life, which wouldn't surprise me considering this administration's staggering level of incompetence. Folks, this rule, remember, this is a rule because Congress, the only people that pass laws are Congress. But they will, don't you worry, they will try to prosecute you, and they're going to prosecute people. They want to turn you into a felon on May 31st. May 31st. That is a shame. Somebody wants to know what a pistol brace is. Well, a pistol brace is something that is attached to in some cases, an AR-style pistol. And it allows you another point of contact with the firearm to brace it so that it is easier to use. So, Charlie, there's also a flag system out there for purchasing too many car oil filters. Wonder what those are used for. Unbelievable. The incompetence of this administration. Again, you're right, Texter. Staggering. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
1307.
This is the Charlie James Show
On News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Just like I was just telling you a few minutes ago that your government is trying its best to make you a criminal. That's what they want. To make you a criminal. And I'll give you a great example. Not only, if you own a pistol brace, May 31st, you're a criminal. Of course, this guy, was talking about, it's the intent. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Only Democrats get to get away with intent. Only Hillary Clinton gets away with intent. Nobody else does. Well, yeah, she ran over that guy with a car, but she didn't intend to kill him, so we're just going to charge her with failure to yield the right-of-way. But you going under the jail. That's my impression of Ray Epps. You going under the jail. As Ray Epps said, we're going into the Capitol, and then whines to 60 Minutes that Tucker's trying to ruin his life. Yeah, okay. You could be a domestic terrorist and not even know it. Did you know that? So last year, there was a wife and a mother of two that booked an airline ticket to New York for a family funeral. Sounds all right, right? Go to a funeral. Well, maybe not, because her husband, who is a 20-plus year federal air marshal, went to work a few days before his wife left and noticed something kind of astounding. He logged on to his Federal Air Marshal Service Operations computer system, and there was his wife's name. And under her name, it read domestic terrorist. I mean, just think of the thoughts that went through this guy's head. You've seen movies like this. Your spouse is leading a double life. What kind of double life is my wife leading? He probably thought. Well, he ran to his supervisors and asked them how in the world was his wife considered a domestic terrorist. Their response was, you can't tell her, and you have to let it work itself out. Well, what does that mean? What was that mean? So this guy realized that this meant that whenever she traveled anywhere, there would be teams of highly trained air marshals following her and her children's every move in the airport and on the plane, documenting what they wore, what they said, eavesdropping on their conversations, writing an internal report documenting everything. And it was his job to assign the air marshal teams to this special mission to follow his wife to New York and back home. Now, this is pretty shocking because Bill's wife, this guy's alleged name, had never been charged with any crime, never been questioned by law enforcement agencies about being a terrorist. And this guy holds a top secret security clearance with the federal air marshals. And he lives with a terrorist, according to them. So, why was his wife considered a domestic terrorist? Because she was in Washington, D.C. on January the 6th. How about that? How about that? Now, listen to this. The TSA paperwork noted that this guy's wife broke into the United States Capitol building on January the 6th of 2021. But that was wrong. His wife had been in D.C. on January the 6th. However, she was nowhere near the Capitol and could prove it with her GPS locations, Uber, and hotel receipts. She was at a hotel several miles from the Capitol building. And just because she was there, she was considered a domestic terrorist. So, pretty amazing, isn't it? Pretty amazing. You didn't have to be in the Capitol. You didn't have to be at the Capitol. You just had to be in Washington, D.C. on January the 6th. And if you were, chances are the next time you go to the airport, you're going to be followed. You're going to be eavesdropped on. You're going to be surveilled. You're going to be considered a domestic terrorist. Could have swore I thought this was the United States of America. Sounds a whole lot like, Stalinist Russia. Sounds a whole lot like, oh my goodness. Wow. Isn't that amazing? How many of you guys were in, I don't want to know, I don't want you texting the show or anything like that, but how many of you guys were in Washington, D.C. on January the 6th, in or about Washington, D.C., somewhere in the vicinity of Washington, D.C.? You are a terrorist. Meanwhile, in, I believe it was Montana, you've got trans activists that are shutting down the state government. That's right. They stormed the Capitol. Are they being considered domestic terrorists? No. Anybody that participated in the summer of violence, were they considered domestic terrorists? Nah, probably not. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, any of these groups considered domestic terrorists? Nah, everything's fine. But if you were in Washington, oh boy, watch out. This is the Charlie James Show. GS Plumbing Talk Line, 800-905-0989. The Common Sense Retirement Planning Text Line, 71307. Don't forget, you can always email me, Charlie, at 989WORD.com. I'd love to get you emails. We'll be right back.
This is with 100,000 watts of power. It's the right talk.
Charlie?
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking. News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
It was back in 2002. Carl Smalls Jr., West Ashley native, former University of South Carolina, North Carolina football player, was gunned down in a nightclub shooting in Columbia. The man who did it was sentenced, in this case, to 35 years in prison. His name was Gerard Price. There was a judge called Judge Casey Manning. Judge Casey Manning recently released Gerard Price from prison. He was supposed to do 35 years, but on Judge Casey Manning's last day, before he retired, he released Gerard Price from prison and then ordered the order to be sealed. Well, today, in a 3-2 decision, 3-2, the South Carolina Supreme Court voided Judge Casey Manning's order to release Gerard Price. Joining us right now is Representative Josiah Magnuson. Representative Magnuson, how are you this afternoon? Thanks for calling in.
Well, Charlie, thank you so much. I'm doing great, and I am glad to know that this kind of a seasoned criminal is going to be back behind bars, but no thanks to the problematic judicial system in South Carolina. And we desperately need change. If we ever needed change, I think it should be obvious now that our judicial system is making people less safe in South Carolina.
Now, when you have lawyer legislators out there like Todd Rutherford and several others, it becomes especially problematic when they're representing a client like Gerard Price, right?
Absolutely, Charlie. So this is something that I have been raising the red flag over for a number of years. I mean, this has been going back for a decade and a half now, trying to say, hey, we have to have an accountable process for the judiciary. But when it regards the attorneys that are picking our judges in South Carolina, Todd Rutherford is a member of the committee, the Judicial Merit Selection Commission,
right,
that handpicks who is qualified to run to be a judge. And then he turns around as an attorney to go and practice law in front of those exact same judges. So they are accountable directly to him. And that is something that is, again, creating these conflicts of interest. And now we're seeing where somebody who is not only a convicted killer, but he was a gang member. He was a member of the Bloods. He was considered a superior in the Bloods in Columbia, and he's released illegally from prison after serving, hardly more than like a half of his sentence. And that's the kind of thing that we're supposed to accept as South Carolina citizens from our judicial system.
Legit question here. If you violate the state constitution, if I violate the Constitution of the state of South Carolina, does something bad happen to me?
Well, if you're in the legislature, you may or may not get reelected.
Yeah.
But if you violate the law, you're supposed to go to jail, and there's certain standards. There's minimum prison sentences, and there should be a justice system, right? You should be brought to justice.
Sure. So in our state constitution, it says that anybody that is going to be released from jail, the family of the victim gets to be notified, right? They have to be notified. And this Judge Casey Manning, did not do this. All this was done secretly. Nobody was notified about this.
And imagine, Charlie, if you are the family of this gentleman, Mr. Smalls, that was killed, right? I mean, think about that you just get this phone call that the killer of your family member has been released, without any semblance of legality. It was just this order from the bench. Think about what those people are feeling right now. Just the pit of, in their stomach, just to know that because somebody who had a political connection could have undue influence on a judge, that was able to happen here in South Carolina. I mean, we've got to have change in how we select our judges so that we don't have that kind of undue influence.
You're sitting there, you're wearing the robe, you're on the bench, and one of the judges or one of the lawyers before you is one of the people that helped you get that robe. You got to imagine there's some sort of, feeling of, I don't know, responsibility to that person, maybe? Wouldn't you imagine?
Well, absolutely. Because you go back to work and you have to get those votes from those same legislators. And in the case of Todd Rutherford, not only does he vote as a legislator on who can be a judge, which we all have that vote as members of the legislature, but as a attorney on that commission, that Judicial Merit Selection Commission that is handpicked by the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate, he actually has this direct say over who is even qualified to be a candidate. And so he has a direct influence on the judiciary, and then as an attorney, he goes and tries to defend criminals in front of those exact same judges. So it's just completely mind-blowing how that can be allowed and has gone on for so many years.
So do we need to get rid of this Judicial Merit Selection Commission, right?
Absolutely. So we've got some bills. I've introduced a bill to actually for full reform of the judicial selection system, to have the governor appoint with advice and consent of the Senate. I think that would be like the federal model. That would be kind of the gold standard. But if we could just tweak it so that we don't have attorneys with this conflict of interest, just the bare minimum, I think that's the first thing. And then if we could have the governor have input onto who is being appointed to the Judicial Merit Selection Commission, that way we're not having these attorneys that are going back to practice cases. At least then there's not that same crossing of the wires and the conflict of interest. But ultimately, I think we need for one person to be able to be held accountable, because that's the other problem that we're facing is a lot of these issues, a lot of these selections of judges are done, in practice behind closed doors with these shady commitments and people pledging their vote. And nobody gets to know who their representative really voted for behind closed doors. It's all just sort of agreed to, ultimately on the House floor. And so that's the other part of this, is that there's no accountability either. So all of that needs to change.
Attorney General Alan Wilson is also calling for judicial reform, right? Because, he was in on this case. He appeared before this case before the Supreme Court today as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's given us, I think, a lot of momentum now. Like I say, this has been an issue that's been going on for years, but we're finally, I think, getting some bipartisan traction. We're seeing both, especially Representative Joe White has really picked up the gauntlet on this. I'm very proud of him. He's a freshman legislator. He's actually the oldest freshman ever to be elected at 77 years old. But he has made this bipartisan kind of coalition right now, and they are really getting traction. He's done some press conferences. And so I think we have this opportunity to make some reform, to make a difference. There's hope, but we've got to get the public involved, and we've got to have a demand that this has to be addressed immediately. We can't just keep dragging this out, because people, again, Charlie, people are being made less safe, and we're seeing that with this release of Joe Roy Price.
You're right. We're talking with State Representative Josiah Magnuson. So it just seems like to me, every time I talk to somebody about this stuff, and I talk to you members of the Freedom Caucus, it's like we are so stuck in the old ways here in South Carolina that nobody wants to give up those old ways and really move into even just modern day, not even the future, but modern day ways of governing a state. We've got to let go of some of those things, right?
Right. And that is an interesting point, because a lot of these ways of the power structure in Columbia were created back in the 1895 Constitution. It was something of a segregation type of intent. A lot of the people back then, they wanted to exclude people from government based on the color of their skin. And we've got to move out of that if we really want. We hear from different directions about equity and inclusion and that sort of thing, which I think is a little twisted now in the way that they apply it. But if that's what we're really wanting, hey, let's start with changing and reforming the system in Columbia to truly reflect the will of the people and have some accountability and transparency. I think that would be a great first step, is to move past that 1895 structure, which kept certain power players in place, and either go to, if we need to go to an election model, North Carolina has that, where we vote on our judges. I think the better option, again, is probably governor appointment with advice and consent of the Senate. But something's got to change. I think just about anything would probably be better than what we've got right now.
The weird thing in this case is they're saying they don't even know where Mr. Price is.
And that's crazy. Just in the time, maybe he knew that he was going to get out. And I'm again blown away that this has gone on for so long, and we just got to get the public involved and demanding change.
Yeah, absolutely. State Representative Josiah Magnus, is always a pleasure, sir. Thank you very much for calling in. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Charlie. It's an honor.
Yes, sir. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
1-800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Going back, talking about that Gerard Price case where he was secretly let out of prison for murder. He was supposed to do 35 years, but he didn't do 35 years because on the last day of this judge's tenure, he was retiring, stepping down. He signed this order and then he sealed it. And then he violated the state constitution by not telling the family about it. There was no hearing or anything. So anyway, I got this text. Charlie, apparently he exemplified himself as a model prisoner and helped guards on more than one occasion. He should not have been released in the manner that it happened, but he needs to have his situation re-examined by a parole board, etc. You know what model prisoner means to me? That means you're a really good prisoner. You're a crap citizen. You're horrible out when you're free. But when you are in jail, you are top-notch. So let's keep you there where you're top-notch instead of where you were misbehaving, which is out in society. Okay? Oh, and by the way, one of the guards that he protected while he was in prison, air quotes there, protected, apparently he was dating. So you got to kind of weigh that one there. Also been, a lot of people have been asking me about constitutional carry, and ladies and gentlemen, I have some bad news. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I really do. Let me read to you this text. Senate Judiciary brought it up, but passed over. No more movement as of now. Still stuck in committee. 7 session days left. 7 session days left. So now it's time. Call the members of the South Carolina Senate Judiciary Committee and let them know that you want this. This is so frustrating. The only reason that they passed it over is because it's not important to them. You know, the question is, you know, people say, why haven't they passed constitutional carry? Well, the answer to that is they didn't want to. They didn't want to pass constitutional carry. And why don't they want to pass constitutional carry? That's the question. Nebraska got constitutional carry recently. There they are. Congratulations, you guys. You've got your Second Amendment. We here in South Carolina, not so much. Not so much. So the only reason they did not get this out of committee, the only reason they haven't voted on it is they don't want to. Because apparently they don't trust you. They don't believe that the people of South Carolina, the honest, because remember, constitutional carry only applies to law-abiding citizens. It keeps law-abiding citizens having to register for their rights. What other rights require a permit? None. Do you think criminals are worried about constitutional carry? No. No. Did not. They don't care. There's so many criminals walking around out there with guns in their waistbands. It would boggle your mind. So it doesn't affect them because they don't care. It only affects you because you're a law-abiding citizen. You carry a gun, get stopped, they're going to throw the book at you. They carry a gun, get stopped. The first sentence that is thrown out, or the first charge that is usually thrown out, is the gun charge. Isn't it amazing how our legal system works? So I'm baffled. I'm baffled why these conservatives in this, please. So who's on the Senate Judiciary Committee? I always have to look this up. Senate Judiciary Committee, South Carolina. Let's take a look. I will read the names. I will call the names out here, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Bump, 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 if I can find it. Yep, here we go. Luke Rankin is the chairman. Gerald Malloy, Shane Massey, Ronnie Sabb, Wes Clymer, Rex Rice, Scott Talley, Dick Harpootlian, don't even bother calling him. Brian Adams, Henry Gustafson, don't bother calling her. Josh Kimbrell, Mike Reichenbach, Brad Hutto, Chip Campson, Marlon Kempson, don't bother calling him. Marjorie Bright Matthews, don't bother calling her. Mia McLeod, don't bother calling her. Sandy Sin, don't bother calling her. Richard Cash, Dwight Loftus, Billy Garrett, Michael Johnson, Vernon Stevens. Those are the people that you need to be calling. And the people that I said don't bother calling is because I absolutely know for a fact they're not going to be for it. Okay? I know for a fact that Sandy Sin, even though she claims to be a Republican, sorry, just threw up in my mouth a little bit, does not want you having a gun. Meanwhile, she'll go out to Montana and have pictures taken of her with a sidearm on her hip. Oh, must be nice. Must be nice. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
It's the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
I swear, Joe Biden. What an absolute joke. What an absolute joke this guy is. He was giving a press conference today. And listen to this. All right. First of all, he's trying to make a threat here. He's trying to make a threat. And listen to what he says.
A nuclear attack by North Korea against the United States or its allies or partisans or partners is unacceptable and will result in the end of whatever regime were to take such an action.
So if North Korea attacks the United States and our partisans, our partners, then that would be the end of whatever country that would do that. What did I say? North Korea again? Already, I said that. Joe Biden, ladies and gentlemen, a man who says he doesn't even want to say how old he is. That's exactly what he said today. Here's Joe Biden.
With regard to age, I can't even say. I guess how old I am. I can't even say the number. It doesn't.
Yeah, I know, because it's getting close to EIGH. EIGHY. Iggy. Joe Biden. But no matter what, he's still not as bad as Kamala Harris. And what Kamala Harris said today, these people are amazing at speeches. They really are. They're absolutely unbelievable. Here is Kamala Harris. Let's see.
I think it's very important, as you have heard from so many incredible leaders, for us at every moment in time, and certainly this one, to see the moment in time in which we exist and are present.
Wow.
And to be able to contextualize it, to understand where we exist in the history and in the moment as it relates not only to the past, but the future.
Wow.
So
listen, I said it before when I played that. That needs to be on a plaque somewhere. Somewhere it should be. One of the most profound statements ever made by a vice president of the United States. Hey, Charlie, Joe or Kamala is not running this country. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You're exactly right. No, they're not. They're not running it. They're just puppets. Charlie, unlike President Trump, Joe Biden has rings like on a tree for age. You're right about that, Katie. Thanks for the text. Charlie, Biden is a wilting weed, and our enemies know he's a bag of hot air. Yes. Yes, absolutely. They know he's full of it. That's why they're just running around with impunity doing this. Let's see. Charlie, please stop playing this. My head is exploding. Perfect. Charlie, I think I read something similar. I'll add it on a bathroom wall. I read it on a bathroom wall one time. Yeah, there is better writing on a bathroom wall than what Kamala Harris. Who is her speechwriter? Somebody let me know. Because that's got to be the Karine Jean-Pierre of speechwriters. Because we know how miserable a failure she is at her job. Certainly, it's got to be, maybe it's her sister. Don't know. Or not. Anyway, good grief. That's where, no wonder this country's in a mess. Literally. And Joe Biden, okay, again, I cannot believe it. I'm not going to believe it. I will never believe that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to be able to defeat any Republican. I'm not going to accept it. It just can't be. When you've got, listen to this. When you've got these Democrats out there, there was a Louisiana House Election Committee. They moved a bill out of committee to make it illegal for teachers to hide a child's gender transition from parents. Okay. Now, what that says is if a child is transitioning, you cannot hide it from the parents. Okay. So there was a lot of reaction from LGBT people who testified against the bill when the vote passed. The committee also moved another bill to the floor that bans classroom discussion of gender identity and sexual orientation from K through 12th graders. Let me tell you, the only gender ideology that a young boy needs to learn in class is that girls have cooties. Okay? That's it. That's it. So one of the people, this should tell you everything. One of the people who testified against it was a drag queen who had a blue face and called himself Big Gay Baby. That was this person's name. Want to listen to Big Gay Baby? Let's see.
In the House District 97 and Senate District 4. Thank you all for letting me speak. I believe we are all here for the same reason, which is to make schools a safe place for students and for faculty to thrive. So I'm excited to share this space with you. But like I said, I am Maxwell. I am trans. I am Big Gay Baby. My pronouns are they, them.
Oh, Lord.
What are yours? I'm here to ask you to vote no on HB 466. Speaking before you today is a 27-year-old drag artist that lives every day to secure kindness.
Oh, shut up. Just shut up. You show up in blue face. Yeah, my name's Maxwell, and they call me Big Gay Baby, and I'm here to talk about a very serious issue. Nobody's going to take Big Gay Baby seriously. Sorry, Big Gay Baby. Just not happening. That might be, Tim, that might be my new password. That might because nobody would do it. Those words just
Which
don't.
one, Big Gay Baby?
All, yeah,
or-
just the whole thing. One word, all caps. Just a Big Gay Baby showing up at the State House in Louisiana. Good gracious, they are nuts. They are nuts.
Yeah, it's getting pretty crazy out there.
How? You want to talk about a group of marginalized people? People like Big Gay Baby that shows up in blue face with his hair up in a bun. Yep, sorry, to the margin with you. The Overton window, you are way outside of that, okay? The Overton window, that window where you look out and you see all of the things of all the spectrums, no matter if it's left or right, but are at least acceptable in society. You are way outside of that window, Big Gay Baby. Sorry to break it to you. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Welcome back. Tim, you posted a picture of your home studio. That looks pretty good, bud.
Yeah.
Looks really nice.
Just there's a few more things I need to do to it, but yeah, it's pretty much done. Everything's hooked up.
Very good. Do you have a turntable in there? You got a record player, or as Joe Biden says, a phonograph?
Yeah.
You have put on the record player. Put on the record player at night.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it is it's not really a record player. It's a digital turntable, but yeah.
So you can go waka waka waka.
I could if I wanted.
You can waka waka when you're doing your DJing. Waka
Right.
waka.
Yeah.
I never
sure.
understood why that was even a thing. Waka waka.
Yeah, me either, because I never did it.
Waka waka. All I kept saying was, you're ruining your needle when you do that on your
yeah.
on your record.
Dude, there's like a whole market for needles and records, and
I had no
most
idea.
durable ones.
I
and-
had no idea.
Yeah, it's like a whole market for it. And
So
go
I
ahead.
don't even. How much does a phonograph needle cost these days?
Ooh, I don't know the answer to that one, but
Do they still call them the phonographs?
I don't think so.
What do they call them? I don't
They
even know
just
what they would call them.
needles. I'm pretty sure. Techniques maybe, because the Techniques were the most popular
Holy
brand.
Cramaloda!
Oh yeah, man, Techniques.
Audio Technica,
Yep.
$649 for one of their phonograph needles. $649.
Yeah.
Good gracious!
Yeah, man.
What in the world? But here are some. I mean, you could get. Well, that's the old one. Here's a Clear Audio Goldfinger, 17,500.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. See, I didn't DJ like that though. I did mashups. I never did much scratching.
Yeah, that's good.
Sampling and mashup.
Now you can get them like a 4-pack for $8.79.
Yeah.
Or there's one here for $23.99 that looks pretty good. But I had no idea. I mean, I'm one of these people. I am shocked that phonographs, vinyl, has come back as big as it has over the past couple of years.
Oh yeah, man.
It's pretty amazing.
It's actually really cool. I enjoy actually going to the record store.
You go to the record store?
Yeah, there's a few
Wow.
around.
I had no idea. I really didn't.
I see them like whenever I go traveling. Like if I see one, I'll stop in.
Stop in,
and
check it out. That used to be fun. We used to, in Augusta, we used to go to Home Folks News and Records.
Yeah.
And it was just fun. It was a place to go and do all that. But I never thought that would come back. I really didn't. Things are cyclical.
Oh yeah.
Things are
man.
cyclical.
History repeats itself.
Did you ever think that soft drinks popularity would decrease?
Yes,
Did you really?
I did.
Well, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Soft drinks are just not as popular as they used to be. It doesn't matter what, marketing brands they got, Coke, Pepsi, doesn't matter. A lot of millennials just aren't buying it. So,
Yeah.
so that market is shrinking. That's pretty interesting. Razors. Did you know razor sales are falling?
I wouldn't know anything about razors.
You don't shave at all?
No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to shave.
Yeah. I get the Gillette bag of,
Are they the blue ones?
disposables. Yeah.
The blue ones?
Yeah.
I usually like those too. I have gone to a single edge blade. Well, it's actually a double edge blade. It's a single blade. My razor was made in 1947. It's a Gillette ball end. It's a Gillette Tech ball end safety razor.
Yeah, you were telling me about
And that's
that
what I
one day.
use. And I buy 100 blades for about $20, maybe less. Because razor blades are wildly expensive. So
They
razor
are.
blades are their market is shrinking. Fabric softener. People just aren't using fabric softener anymore like they used to.
Oh yeah. I don't use fabric softener anymore.
That's going away. Cable TV is going away.
Oh yeah, that's definitely.
Diamonds are going away.
Oh, really?
Millennials aren't buying diamonds anymore.
That's because they're so expensive.
Yeah, they are wildly. But from what I've heard, like De Beers, they stockpile diamonds to keep the price up.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. Dairy products, they're waning. Raisins. Think about that, raisins. When you was a kid, you used to get that little pack of Sun-Maid, in your lunchbox or whatever. And
I like the raisin bread. That's my favorite
well,
thing.
that's you know what? It's funny because they say that's what mostly raisins are used for now.
Yeah.
In recipes. So raisins are going away. In fact, cereal is going away. Cereal is listen to this. Eating cereal has now become inconvenient for a lot of I know.
Dude, cereal is the most convenient thing.
Isn't it? I mean, would you think so? But there's a New York Times reported that 40% of millennials surveyed said that the sweet and crunchy morning option was an inconvenient breakfast choice because they had to clean up after eating it.
Oh my God.
I guess avocado toast is a thing. There's no more you may kiss the bride in weddings. Millennials don't like that.
Yeah,
They're
I knew that one.
doing away with that.
I knew that one.
I
always thought it was stupid.
Listen to this. Theater seats are gone now. Everybody's going to the recliners and surround sound
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what I want.
in their homes
Yeah, that's what I
because
want.
because people just aren't going to movies that much anymore. It's pretty amazing. Also, they always want you to do away with gas. Body wash is going away. No, I'm sorry. Soap, bar soap is going away.
Oh, bar soap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I use body wash. In fact, I don't use
So do
body
I.
wash. I use Castile soap, the peppermint.
I usually
Love
just
that.
use the Old Spice. That's what I usually
I'm sorry, you use what?
the Old Spice body wash.
You don't even remember that commercial, do you?
No, I actually don't.
I don't want anything with a lot of scent to it.
Oh yeah, and well, my wife likes the smell of it. So
I
that's why
I don't like scent. Gyms are going by the wayside. Cruises. Millennials aren't going on cruises anymore. So no more Love Boat.
That's crazy.
How about
because
that?
Kia's been dying to get me on a cruise.
You need to go on a cruise. I'll
I
tell you
want
that.
to.
Beer is actually declining. And we're not just talking about Bud Light. We're talking about beer in general.
I could see that. I don't
So-
really like beer as much as I do other drinks.
Other libations. Going out to a restaurant is on the decline. More people are just getting it to go. How about that?
Yeah, I do that a lot.
The lottery. You see, but going to a restaurant, that's an experience. And that's an experience I want.
I agree.
I mean, you can do the takeout all you want to, and the food is absolutely fantastic. But there's just something about sitting down, having a waiter come up to you, and just everything. You don't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's really nice. Millennials aren't playing the lottery much.
Yeah,
How about that?
I don't play the lottery that much.
I don't either. I need to. You know what else is going out of style? Napkins. Everybody's using paper towels.
No more napkins.
Everybody's using paper towels.
Yeah.
Or cloth towels. All right. So the times, they are changing. All right, folks, we're going to get out of here. Mark Levin's coming up next. He got a great show planned for you. We'll see you right back here tomorrow, as always. You were so much fun today. We love you. God bless. Buckle up. Bye, y'all.